Greetings, everyone. Today I am doing a review of Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. Some say this is one of the best pirate books ever written. There's pirates. Maybe they mean the trilogy. But mostly it's about traders, not just pirates. It's about ships. It's called the Live Ship Traders. And this world, you got regular ships, but then you also got these ships that have come to life. You know, in the front of a ship, you have the masthead or the figurehead or whatever. Could be a man or a woman, or I don't know if there's like animal ones that come to life. They didn't really talk about that in the book. But there's this sort of magical. So it's like a magic system to the whole world, because the first trilogy, the Farseer trilogy, you had like telepathy called skilling. You could like send your thoughts, or like you could steal the vision of someone far away, like the Farseer family could. And then certain people had the wit, where you could speak to animals and like become one with an animal and understand their feelings and everything and bond with them. But then there was this whole thing with these red ships that were attacking and turning everybody into zombies. And then at the end of the trilogy, there was like these statues of dragons that came to life, because they were supposed to be the old ones that were the saviors of the people from the six duchies. And what they found out was that the red ships were actually, like, something had been done to them before, equally as bad as them turning everyone to zombies. So it's like this back and forth between the red ship raiders and the six duchies. But I thought this book was going to go into more like what's the red ship raiders people deal, like what's going on with them, what are they? But this actually takes place far to the southeast of the six duchies, past the Chalcedean states, which is another area, and to the southwest, or up in the west from this area, you got the Rain Wilds, where the dragon statues were, right? I think. So the trader families in Bingtown, which is where this book takes place mostly, they have relationships with these rain wild people, and they're kind of like magical people. And they have like, it's almost like the spooky, what's that, Grimm's fairy tale? The guy with the crazy long name. Not Mixelplex, or, it's like, Leprechaun? What the fuck is that guy's name? The guy says he's going to take your firstborn child or something like that if you don't pay your gold that you're due, or something like that. It's really similar to this deal. Like, you take out a loan for one of these ships, and you owe the Rainwild people money, and if you can't afford it, then you have to give them one of your children to marry into their family, even though they're already like kind of your family. Something's wrong with the Rainwild people. They keep hinting around, like, if you take the life ships up the Rainwild River, you can have like the goods there are like magical goods, like these things that are kind of like, you can use it to make refrigerators, or you can use it to make like special kind of jewelry, like these flame jewels and all kinds of like weird magical stuff, dream boxes, just kind of random weird magical shit. And something was, the grandpa that died in the beginning of this, he doesn't trust that magic, the Rainwild magic. So, I don't know. The deal with the ships, though, when you take out a loan, you got to pay them back, or you give them to your kids or something if you can't pay it back. 3 captains have to die on board the ship. Oh, this is also 5 stars, by the way. I loved it. Robin Hobb just doesn't miss. She's just great. Some people say like the 7th? No. 8th book or something like that? No. 3, 6, 7, 8. Book number at 9 or something like that. It's supposed to be boring. Like, she describes this castle too much, or a city or something like that. I mean, Robin Hobb writes really good slice of life. So even when it's not like super action packed, just like talking about what's going on and how people live their daily lives is really good, the way she writes it. So there's a lot of that in this. There's a lot of different POVs. There's a pirate guy's POV. There's this girl Althea's POV. She's like, you thought she was going to be the main character for like the first half. Then the second half, it was more about her nephew, Wintro? Yeah, that's right. So, like, the people, what was their names? The, Vivacia is the name of the ship. Um, Vestrit family, right? Althea Vestrit, her grandpa, or her father. Yeah, her father is dying. And she's always, like, rode on his ship with him, like, when she was a little girl, even though, like, all her brothers died from the plague, or they would have been, like, the next in line to take the ship. But women don't usually inherit the ship. So what happens was this whole big struggle, like, the guy's at home, sick, and... Was that right? Her uncle, Kyle, is like this asshole. He's very morally gray. That's what's really good about the story. It's like, you really hate this guy. That's the way she tortures Fitz in the first trilogy. She kind of tortures Althea in this one at the beginning. You're struggling to see if she's even going to, like, get her grandpa to die on the ship so it can quicken the ship. Because once you have the life ship, it's just like a regular ship, kind of, until 3 captains have died. It kind of absorbs the memories and the experiences of those 3 captains and kind of gets a personality of its own, which is kind of like a mix of all 3. But it's like this one ship went crazy. He had, like, 3 captains all die, like, really close together, and one of them was a small child, and the trauma that made him go crazy and, like, kill his whole crew. So then they, like, chained him to the shore, and he kind of suffers in agony. They call him Paragon or Pariah, depending on how you want to. His real name was Paragon. Anyway, so the second book is called The Mad Ship. So I wonder if Vivacia is going to become a mad ship, or it's going to be about Paragon or something, because there's the whole woodworker character that's, like, trying to, like, buy him and restore him and stuff. And there's also the pirate guy, Kenneth, Captain Kenneth. He's a POV. He's this weird thing. He went to this place called the Island of the Others in the beginning. It's kind of like the Rain Wilds, but it's like an island of treasures, and all the treasures you get, you take them to these others, and they will tell you your future based on your treasures, but you don't get to take the treasures with you. And he, like, snuck one of them away, and it kind of, like, cursed him. But he has, like, this weird luck because he has one of these Rain Wild trinkets that's made out of the same wood that the live ships are made out of. That sounds like a fever dream. It sounds like I'm trying to explain a dream I had. Anyway, it talks to him and it, like, gives him really good luck or something like that. But Althea, the whole thing with her grandpa, like, is he going to get on the ship in time to die and let it absorb his essence and so it'll come alive? And it does. It finally does. But in the process, they have to pull this little peg out of it and, like, hand it down to the next person that's going to receive it. And then her older sister jumps in and is like, I'm going to take this ship. And it blows your mind because then the dad is like, yes, I want her to have it. The older sister that has never been on the ship before. She's just the older sister. She just, like, doesn't know anything about boats, doesn't care about boats. And she pretty much steals it from her sister, which makes you hate her uncle, which is the sister's husband, Kyle. And then she immediately gives it to him, and he takes over. Now it's his, and he's not really by blood part of the family, so he can't be the one that bonds to the ship. You have to have Althea or Althea's nephew Wintrow, because he's the older sister's son. And he was sent away to be a priest. That's the whole catch of most of the book, is like, he doesn't want anything to do with this. He just came back because his grandpa was dying. And then all of a sudden he's like, they kidnap him and say, you can't be a priest anymore. You got to be on this ship because Althea can't be there. We're kicking her out. And she pretty much runs off, leaves the family, just having sex with this guy Brashen, that was the first mate. And she realizes that her dad, Kyle fucked up, and he said that she's not worthy, she's not a sailor, and, like, he says, like, kind of pissed off, like, if you can get one of these ships tags or whatever, it's like a leather tag that shows that you've been on a voyage successfully, and they recommend you a ship's ticket. If you can get a ship's ticket, I'll give you the boat. But he just said that kind of in anger. And he's also like, he's wanting to turn the ship into a slave ship. They've been like getting like regular tobaccos and linens and like stuff like that you would trade normally. And he wants to turn it into a slaver ship, which you run slaves on a live ship because they absorb the emotions and all the like sailors are dying or like the slaves are dying. It's going to like piss the ship off and make it go insane. So you don't want to do that. So then Althea gets on this Reaper ship that's like, they go off and they take hunters and they kill walruses and they like clean the meat and the hides and everything, and it's like really bloody job, but she ends up being really good at it. And we're about to get her ship's ticket for that ship, and they find out she's a girl and they don't give it to her, so she's kind of fucked. But then she gets on this other ship with a different live ship, and she becomes friends with that live ship, and she finds out, oh, if we had known you were going to get kicked off your ship, we would have just, all the live ships in the harbor, we would have gotten together and said, well, we just ain't going to fucking sail anymore until you let her have her ship back. And she's like, well, goddamn. I could have just saved all this trouble. I didn't know all these live ships were friends with each other and they would all like band together and like do this for me. But so then so he's taken, Kyle steals his son, and there's a whole thing where his son, like, they go down to Jamalia. Jamalia is kind of like Brazil or Africa, I feel like. It's where the satrap, the king or whatever of this area, lives, and he like he runs away, and he doesn't just run away and then try to make it back to his monastery. He runs away and he kind of starts helping slaves. So then he immediately gets caught and like made a slave himself because I forgot why. Anyway, his dad and his first mate have to buy him back, and he gets like the mark of the slave on his face, so now he's forever gonna. He also had his finger cut off at one point. That was a really dope scene, where he kind of made his dad look like a little bitch because he just took it like a man. He's like, cut this finger off, and he just throws it overboard and doesn't give a fuck. Wintrow turns out to be a really cool character, and really says some really profound things for like a young, I don't know how old he is, 15, 16-year-old starting to be a priest. There's also Malta, his younger sister, who is constantly fucking up. She's like 13 years old. She wants to date and start being courted and become a woman too soon, so she does all this stuff, like she's trying to like present herself at the ball to be an eligible bachelorette or whatever you would call it, where she can be courted, and then she accidentally gives one of these Rainwild guys a gift, so then he gets the right to court her, and he gives her the dream box, and she kind of gets in this whole mess. And her family is like, you know, they've got enough gold to make their next payment without giving their daughter away. But now, Kyle's boat, the ships, they rebelled and they took over the ship, and then the fucking Captain Kennett took over the ship because he's like been going around like freeing all these slaves and stuff. So now, Captain Kennett has the Vivacia, the live ship, and Wintrow is kind of there just because. And then his dad, Kyle, is still alive, but kind of injured. And everybody else, they threw him overboard. There's also the POV of the serpents. The sea serpents. That's really weird because they have like a tangle. It's kind of under the docks in Jamalia Bay. And when the slaver ships leave, one of them will follow it. And they keep talking about she who remembers. And I think the Vivacia is she who remembers because they smell her and they remember it. So it kind of hints around that the live ships are former sea serpents, or the sea serpents used to be called masters, which maybe makes me think that like the dragons that were statues, or like they change forms or something and like become sea serpents eventually or something. It's really weird and profound. So how are they going to pay the Rainwall people now that their whole family business is fucked because their life ship's gone? Well, Wintrow's still on it, and Kyle, but it's been taken over by pirates. So like, how are they gonna? Is Vestrit family just gonna go broke and have to give up their daughter to the Rainwild folk? Maybe. There's a whole quadrilogy about the Rainwilds. So, is that all the POV? Oh, Brashen is also a POV. He ends up like on a different ship at the end. And then there's the woman, the woodworker woman, Amber, who's like wanting to like restore Paragon's eye. He was blinded, by the way, also. Yeah, crazy stuff. I really want to know what's up with these Rainwild folks. What's with the magic? Why is the magic bad? The grandpa didn't trust it. And it's also just really cool seeing like when you're bonded to the life ship, you can feel everybody on the ship and like what's going on, and she can sense out in the waters where the serpents are, and she can have all the memories of like Althea's great grandmother and her grandpa and her father, all like she knows like all the secret places to like, oh, if you go over here, there's the island where we got these really expensive things that traded really well a long time ago. Like Althea knows this. So she could make her family a lot of money if Kyle would just let her run the goddamn shit. And it makes you hate Kyle. Like, fuck you, Kyle. You need to be thrown overboard and get eaten by a serpent. But at the same time, Kyle says a lot of shit that turns out to be right. About how his son is kind of like a weakling, and he's saying Althea's not really a good enough sailor yet. And then Althea goes on the Reaper. She turns out like, yeah, actually, I'm not really that good of a sailor yet. I have to become a good sailor. And it turns out she's really good at skinning walruses, which is, they call them like sea bears or something like that, but they're walruses. She gets all bloody and she's like, she has to dress up like a boy and stuff. But like, yeah, now she's actually been on a couple of ships. She's more qualified to be like, maybe not the captain, but like a first mate or something. But yeah, like, you hate Kyle, but Kyle's also kind of right, and he's kind of like just trying to make money for his family. At the same time, he's like becoming a slave owner, and all this shit's going down with the new people coming into Bingtown and wanting to have slaves being legal and all kind. They want to take over land from the original Bingtown settlers that they had their land gifted to them from the Satrap or the it's this whole political intrigue. It's all very, very interesting. 810 pages of it. It's just great. All of it. I just want to know more. I just want to know how this magic system works. The secrets of the Rainwild, the secrets of the others, the secrets of the red ship people from the first trilogy I still don't know about. It's like the magic, the mystery, it's like gummy bears, dude. Looks great. Yeah, so Mad Ship will be next, so some ship's gonna go crazy, and then Ship of Destiny. So maybe Vivacia becomes crazy, and then they calm her down, and they tell her like, "No, you're a ship of destiny," or something like that's gonna happen. I'm probably not gonna read the next one right away, though. I'm gonna have to read like some vampire shit in between to like palate cleanse. Maybe a different fantasy novel too.